This is a book I've been meaning to review for 2 years. I know that's pretty crazy. But it's a book I'd start reading it and then I put it down. And it's a very bad disservice to this writer. And this book is called Star Wars Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. In this young adult novel, Thane Kyrell and Ciena Ree become friends, lovers, as the Empire rises and falls. Their first meet as children on their homeworld, then they go through the Imperial Academy, then one becomes a pilot, the other becomes an officer, and then Thane joins the rebellion while Ciena stays an Imperial soldier, and it's about their connections throughout their lives. Overall, Claudia Gray, I now know why she's a home staple of the new canon. And granted, I did know that. Her other 2 books about Leia have been really solid. But this book probably is her best work. I know I said that about Leia, Princess of Alderaan, but I had not read this. And I'm kind of glad I didn't read these other 2 books after reading this, because I would have to compare them to this. This is such a solid read. Even as an adult, this story touches me. And I didn't like the concept of this. It came off as this Romeo-Juliet Twilight thing in space. They're pitted against each other. Oh no, it's star-crossed love. Get it? Because it's lost stars. But this book is really a touching book. It starts with them being kids, of course, I already said that. And as they learn to fly together, they're actually inspired by Grand Moff Tarkin, of all people. Yeah. And it's them going through the ranks together and their love blossoming, and eventually their separation as Thane joins the rebellion and Ciena keeps her promise with the Empire, because that's where her loyalties lie, because of her people. Promise is a promise sort of thing. And it leads up through the original trilogy, because Thane's stationed on the Death Star as they destroy Alderaan, and it goes into Empire Strikes Back as they fight against each other on the Battle of Hoth, and then they fight against each other in the Battle of Endor, and then finally their final meeting at the Battle of Jakku, which is why this is called Journey to the Force Awakens. This was the first time we got to see the Battle of Jakku for what it was. Granted, does it contradict with Chuck Wendig's take on it? Not really, because it doesn't really focus on the high command and stuff, and that's what Chuck Wendig focused on more, as opposed to this. It's more Thane and Ciena struggle, which is what this book should be. It didn't need to be what Chuck Wendig made his. I mean, granted, that was a story that needed to be told. He failed at it, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to crap on Wendig in this review. But one big complaint with this is that, in my opinion, it sort of contradicts Rogue One. This came out a year before Rogue One hit theaters, and you would think Thane would be more disgruntled because of what they did to Jedha and Scarif with the Death Star, and the Alderaan would be the final struggle, but they don't mention that, and I think that that's a disservice to this book. It's not Claudia Gray's fault. I don't think she was told what Rogue One was even going to be, or that the Death Star would be that physically involved in it. So, to me, it's neither here nor there, I suppose, but it was something that stuck out to me and kind of bothered me. There's a nice little reference to Leia, Princess of Alderaan. Like, I guess she wanted to write that. With the ball scene from that, Thane and Ciena are at that ball, and they see Leia there. which I think is a nice nod that she went back to that ball and talked about that. Granted, could it be a different ball? I suppose so, but the way it was described was very similar. And, it's nice to have continuity between stories and characters. So, overall, this is a very solid new canon book. I put it in my top 5. I think this beats out Rebel Rising just barely. Because it was a book that surprised me with how high quality it was. It gets a nice, solid 4 out of 5 stars. Would recommend this book. Just keep in mind that Rogue One wasn't a thing yet when this was written. And granted, I wish Rogue One would tie in a little bit, or vice versa, but you can't have everything sometimes. So, have a nice day.